Hi guys. All right, so it's been a couple weeks since I've been on here with you. um, so as you guys know, I hiked Kilimanjaro a couple of weeks ago with my husband Ido. We actually summited a little over 2 weeks ago. Uh-oh. Sorry, my computer's yelling at me for something. So we just summited Kilimanjaro a couple of weeks ago, and it was this massive goal. So for those of you who don't know, Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, in Africa. It is once you get to the top, it's the tallest point in Africa, and it's one of the tallest mountains, so at least from the base. So Everest, yes, is a point for sure, but it kind of cheats because it's on the Himalayas, I think. I don't know. I hiked Kilimanjaro, not, not Everest. Anyways, so we did a 9 day trail. We did the something called the Northern Circuit. Only 1% of hikers go this route because it's so much longer. It can be more expensive. It's more time on the mountain. Um, but we picked this trail because it has a higher success rate. Anyways, all this boils down to is for 9 days we were on a mountain. We slept in sleeping bags. We had no we had no cell phone service. We actually couldn't even get a SIM card in Tanzania. That's a whole other story. But what we had was this big challenge that we had to overcome together. We did end up summiting on September 14th, and there was so much time to think and so much that we learned in the process. So I just finished writing a blog for on my business website. You can see the link on the description. Um, excuse me, this is the cough I still have from sleeping outside for 9 days straight. Um, so there were a lot of lessons that I learned along the way. So here are 10 things that I learned. I'm gonna try and focus in the future on including a full-length blog. So if you want more details, more about the story of the experience and climbing and the insanity of summit night and stuff like that, dealing with the high altitude, all of that is in the blog. But here's just 10 quick lessons that I learned. They're also in the blog. So here we go. All right, so the first lesson the mountain taught us, or mostly trained for the mountain, was one, if you're going to do this in your business or summit a mountain, so this is the analogy, practice the habit of pushing through. A piece of advice that we learned before we went from other books that we read, someone said that you need to have, in order to build mental strength, you want to do it with physical workouts. So one of the things that you do is you create workouts so long and hard that 75% of the way through you want to quit. And this is where you build the mental strength. You finish the workout. So we have a friend who doesn't always finish a hard workout when he gets there. And he has different goals, that's fine. But we made a rule that we could not quit a workout. So for example, Ido ran 11 kilometers before we went, and he told me at 8 kilometers he wanted to quit, he was done. But he pushed through another 4 kilometers. He's like my personal trainer because he loves fitness. He assigned me a really long workout. It took me 2 hours to do. Had 300 burpees. Absolutely bonkers. But the point was not so I could do 300 burpees. The point was to give me something so hard that I'd want to quit, but then push through. And I did. So we had a lot of instances like this. And what this did is it built a habit for us. It was okay to take breaks. It was okay to go slow, but we could not stop the workout. So what we did is we built it up. We built this habit of thinking. When we came across these hard moments, the thought was never, I want to quit and I'm going to quit now. It's, how do I adjust this so I can keep going? And this actually became really important on the mountain. One of the ways my body reacted on like long inclines, like 5-6 hours of inclines or more, it's intense, it's a lot. My body, when it got overwhelmed, would kind of just like shut down. I'd have to sob hysterically for 10 minutes, I'm not kidding, and then I could get up and go another 30 minutes. I did that over and over and over again. But whenever I had, like I literally did it like 30 times on like summit day. It's unbelievable how many times I did this. But whenever I went through it, I had a habit of pushing through. So I took the time to take care of it, and then I was able to move forward. So we built a habit of pushing through. And that's also really important in our businesses, right? You're going to have rough seasons in your business. You're going to have days where, okay, this sucks today. And like, if you guys have read Mark Manson, he talks about eating the shit sandwich. Find a way to get through eating the shit sandwich. Build a habit of pushing through. It will make such a difference to have a habit of not quitting, of following through. And it made a big difference on the mountain. So that's number one. Number two, take time to see how far you've already come. Now this is, again, a business analogy and the Kilimanjaro analogy. So something that happened on summit day is when the sun rose, because we started hiking at midnight. On summit day, at dawn, we could see this eastern slope that we were hiking. And that actually was not a good thing for me and my morale, because I could see how hard the path was in front of me. And now I was much more overwhelmed. So something I'd started doing the day before, and that I did on that day as much as possible, instead of looking forward to how far you have to go, realizing you have hours of hiking left, or all these big hurdles and work and things that you still have to do, instead of trying to look forward and see when it ends and just getting fixated on that, a really good way to reset yourself is to look back and see how far you come. So Ido and I hiked a total of more than 90 kilometers over the 9 days. It's bananas how far we hiked. So on a daily basis, we hike between 7 and 10 kilometers on average. So if you're 4 hours in, you've probably gone about, 4 kilometers or something like that, maybe more. And if you turn around and look back, you can see this tiny, tiny path going back down to your starting point. And that actually was far more encouraging than trying to figure out when this damn trail would end. Because it reminded me, oh, okay, I got this far. So if I can go this far, and I think I have less than that going, I can keep going. I can go forward. That's all that mattered. And I would just stare at the back of my guide's shoes until we got there. Sometimes that's a really important thing to do when it comes to your business, honestly, really, truly. Because if you get too fixated on like, I'm so overwhelmed to do the next step, take a minute and think about how far you've come. This helps me a lot when I think about my move to Israel, because it helps move me forward more. So take time to see how far you come. So the third lesson, remind yourself that you are choosing to be here. Again, this is for business and for the mountain. So when I would have those points, like I said, I have points where I would just stop and cry for 10 minutes. My husband Ido would come to me and comfort me, and he'd talk to me, and every single time he's like, do you want to stop? Do you want to go back? I won't feel bad if we go back. There's no hard feelings. We've had our experience. Do you want to go back? We can go back. So what he did is he presented this choice to me. Do you want to go back? And every single time I was pitiful about it, but I'd be like, no! It was ridiculous. But I didn't go back. And what he reminded me every single time is that I am choosing to be here. That is a really empowering thing. So what that did is it took away this nasty martyrdom and feeling like I have to do this. That's not a great place to be in. But every time he comforted me and said, do you want to go back? And I said no, that meant I was choosing to be there. I was choosing to be in this pain and in this discomfort. And that was really empowering. So when you go through hard times in your business, it's important to not get into that martyr headspace. You can always tell yourself, I can quit this tomorrow. I can stop this tomorrow. I am choosing to be here. Do I want to quit? No. Then I am choosing to be here. I am in control of that decision. And that is such a much better headspace to be in, right? So remind yourself, you're choosing to be here. It's way more empowering and will help you keep moving forward. So, number 4, sometimes moving slow is actually better. So if you're anything like me, you probably get mad comparisonitis. Facebook and any other social media, you always put your best face forward and your marketing content. Everything is amazing, and it seems like everyone is having 10K months, and they started their business 2 days ago in their garage, and it drives you crazy, right? But sometimes moving slow is better. So the way that played out in the mountain is there's multiple routes to go to the summit. There's 7 of them. I don't think you care about the names of them. You can Google it in 10 seconds, even less. But you don't want to take a route that took 9 days. That's super long. Other people take a route that's 5 days long, depending on the part of the mountain they're on. So why did we choose a 9-day route? Why didn't we go for a cheaper, faster 5-day route? It all has to do with acclimatization and success rates. So there is one of the routes that's 5 days is the Morongo route. So technically in 5 days you can climb, summit, come back down. But here's the trick with that. If you take the Morongo route, 3 out of 4 people will not hit the summit. 25% success rate. However, the 9-day route that Ido and I took, the longer route, that has a 90 to 95% success rate of getting to the summit. You're way more likely to get up there. It takes, what you're doing when you get to the summit, you have half of the amount of oxygen you're used to breathing at sea level. That screws with your body, and your body needs time to adjust to it slowly. And that's what the acclimatization is. And sometimes we have acclimatization in our business. Sometimes we need to move a little more slower in order to have a higher success rate. Again, it's not a race to get to like this 10K month or this huge goal. You don't, sure you have more money faster, but do you have it sustainably? Do you have it in a healthy way? Because if you ascend too high quickly on the mountain, you get altitude sickness symptoms, headaches, dizziness, vomiting, and if you ignore it, you have to come back down the mountain in order to reset your body. It actually, because if you stay up there too long, it can be too fatal if you move too fast and have these symptoms. If you move more slowly and give yourself time to adjust to each new challenge, each new level, each new dip in oxygen, you're more likely to get to the top, right? So it's not a race. The idea is to get to the summit, and it's okay that you're not the first one there. It's okay that you're not the first one to get like 10K months. Building a business, climbing a mountain, it's hard and it takes time, and that's okay. So sometimes slower is better. Don't get discouraged if you're moving slowly, right? Here's number 5. Rest, but don't quit. This is also, I'm kind of rewording things, but it's an important sentence, I think. Rest, but don't quit. So on summit day, the worst 4 hours for me were between 7 a.m. and 11 a.m. And this is when we had already been hiking for 7 hours in the pitch black, and then we were running on 3 hours of sleep, and then we still had 4 hours of straight uphill in loose gravel. It was a very bad 4 hours. And in that time, I had fantasies about quitting. Again, I had developed this habit of not quitting, so that helped me. But something that I did do is that I took rests along the way. I would have to stop and pee. I would take a drink. I would sit and cry. I would take a drink of water. But I was always moving forward. If you're struggling, if you're at a hard point in your business, take a minute to stop and rest. That is okay. Rest. Your body needs rest. When you're building a business, you're doing a difficult thing. You're literally up-leveling your life and your career. That is hard. So make sure to take breaks along the way. You do not have to run breakneck speed the entire way up. Again, you don't win, it's not about getting there first. It's about getting there. And you want to make sure you give yourself what you need to get to the top. And sometimes it's breaks. But please try and take rests Don't quit. Try and take breaks first. It will help you get there. It's okay that you're a little slower than the others. You can still get there. So try and take rests instead of quitting. So number 6, prepare for what you can't prepare for. I know that's a weird one, but it's a really important one. And by this I mean you can't predict everything. So what that looked like on the mountain for us is Ido and I live in the Middle East, and we live at sea level. And the highest mountain we have is less than half of the height of Kilimanjaro. We had no way to practice altitude hiking, sleeping and hiking in the cold, any of these things. It just isn't something available to us. We couldn't prepare for it. We prepared as best we could, but we had no idea how our bodies would react to the altitude. We had no idea that I would have these like crying fits going on inclines. We had no idea that Ido would have way more altitude symptoms than I would. We had no idea. All we could do was prepare for what we couldn't prepare for. And that means training for more things like resilience, patience, perseverance, and adaptability. Honestly, these are things that are much more important in life. Instead of trying to guess and specifically prepare for every single individual thing that could go wrong, the best thing you can do is try and train yourself in ways where you have to adapt, where you have to react in the moment. Train as much as you can for what you do know, but for the things that you don't know, try to find ways to train patience and perseverance and adaptability. Again, we did a lot of this mental work with really long, hard trainings. Sometimes Ido would pick things at the last minute so I couldn't mentally prepare for it. That actually was a good exercise for me. But you won't be able to predict everything that goes right or wrong or works or doesn't work in your business. It just doesn't happen. So stop trying to feel the pressure that you have to predict everything or prepare for everything very specifically. You really don't. Try instead to focus on becoming more adaptable. Focus, like dealing in the moment, understanding that you may have to be more patient because things don't go the way that you think they would have. You know, when you're building a business, you can't predict everything. You're trying to figure some of it out as you go, and that's okay. We're all of us learning along the way. I'm not a parent. I don't know what this means. I'm kind of getting weird throw-ups on here. Thanks, Heather. I'm not a parent, but I know that you can't prepare for every possibility as a parent before you have kids, right? You don't know their personality, things like that. All you can do is try and build these adaptability traits. It's the same thing in business, the same thing in life, same thing on the mountain. So try and prepare in that way. Number 7, be patient with yourself. So, on the mountain, it's very hard to describe what it feels like to have half of the oxygen you should be having, right? You aren't wheezing, you don't sound asthmatic, but you just have, it's harder to do tasks. You just have less energy. So for example, we had these big duffel bags we had to repack every day. And in the first camp or two, when we had basically the same level of oxygen, packed it, done, fine. You don't have been working out 4 days a week for 9 months. We're good, we're set. But as we had less and less oxygen and we got more tired and we got the fatigue of sleeping in a freaking tent in below below freezing temperatures, higher up in the mountain it became harder to do. And so we realized that when we repacked the bag, we would just, you just couldn't catch your breath. It was crazy. It was crazy town. So we had this new rule where it's just like, okay, every time we, do things like go out to the bathroom tent and then come back, stop and wait for 2 to 3 minutes. Every time we're repacking our bag, every few minutes, stop, catch your breath for 2 to 3 minutes. And this drove me bonkers. Ido was a far more patient person than I am. This is not my personality. um, because it's not the level I'm used to operating at. And I remember dealing with similar stuff when I changed from being an employee in a business to starting a business. Um, there was, and also just like moving to Israel too, there's a certain speed I'm used to going at, a certain rhythm I'm used to running when I'm an employee, when I'm not trying to make all the decisions. Um, but when I had to start in a lot of things from scratch, I had to learn things completely new. I had to move at a slower pace, and it drove me crazy because this isn't the pace I'm used to working. Going from, like being a full tilt employee to building something as a newbie business owner. And oh my God, I had to learn about patience in a very painful way early on. So if you're frustrated with with that kind of pace, with that kind of difference in the beginning of your business, you're normal. It takes a lot of patience to get these things started, to build momentum, and to learn these new skills of marketing and sales and social media interaction for your business from scratch. You're going to have to be more patient. Um, it will make everything better. So when I finally did accept, like, okay, packing my bags is going to take me 30, 40 minutes instead of like 20, 25. And as soon as I accepted that this is the case, it made it a lot better. I was less stressed out, I had more energy, I was able to move on to the next thing more easily. So you may have to be patient as you transition. So number 8, it is okay that it's hard. Okay, so we had a 9-day itinerary. The first day I cried, day 2. And I remember talking to Edo, and it's just like, if I'm crying now, I don't know how I'm going to make it all the way 9 days. But I did. And again, I had these crying fits. I was the slowest person. I was also the only girl. I don't know if that matters. I was the slowest person. No one else was crying. No one else was struggling the way I was. And I felt embarrassed and ashamed and wondered if I should even be there, and felt like I was inconveniencing the people I was hiking with, like even though it was just Edo and like all the people we hired to take us. It did not feel good. But no one judged me for it being hard, and they would just affirm to me, Edo and the guides, this is a hard thing, and it's okay that it's hard. Again, this is something that comes from like comparisonitis, like I think in our businesses, when you see the best of everyone on Facebook and their best foot forward and their best revenue months and all of these things. Starting and running a business is hard. Hiking a mountain is hard. So it's okay. That feels hard. Not that long ago, I was rereading Glennon Doyle's Untamed, and she had this section where she talks about how feelings are meant to be felt. It doesn't have to feel easy all of the time. It really doesn't, because it's not. It's okay that it feels hard. But again, like I said before, accept that it feels hard and keep moving forward. You're choosing to be there in this hard thing, and that's okay. So if you feel like it's hard and you feel like it's a sign something's wrong with you, because I've had that. I've had that moving to Israel, getting adjusted, learning Hebrew. It's okay that it's hard. I'm giving you permission for you to feel like it's hard and not give up, or feel like it's not where you should be. That's not what that means, I promise. Number 9, no one gets to the summit alone. So Edo and I started hiking on summit night at midnight. We didn't get to the actual summit until 3:18 p.m. So we were hiking for 15 hours. That's unusually long for that ascent. It should be shorter for normal people, whatever. I specifically, maybe Edo would have done better, would not have gotten there without the help of the guys who hiked with us. We had our assistant guide and 2 porters who were helping support us. They carried our bags, our water, they fed us, they encouraged us, they sang songs to us. And at the end, my guide, I was holding onto the straps of his backpack, and he was towing me along like I was a cart attached to a horse. But there was no shame in it. We knew that we needed help, but we still wanted to get to the summit. So what does that mean in business? So I felt like for a long time in my business, I needed to be the only one in charge of things. I needed to be the only one doing things, completely in control. I felt nervous hiring people, asking for help, felt weak asking for help, all of these things in the early days of my business. It took a long time for me to not just say the words, but practically understand that my work, my job would be easier with help. And I could move faster toward my goals and more comfortably with help. So when I hired my first business coach, Alyssa, that was a big moment for me. That was a big step forward. And instead of having to figure out how to build everything blindly, I had a plan, I had a structure, I had a guide, and that gave me a head up, right? And then in the fall of last year, I then hired an OBM. That was really scary too. Just like I've never hired really people before. I hired my bookkeeper on this, not long before that. That scared me. It's this new level, but that has made my life so much easier. I've been able to focus on other larger things in my business while my OBM has managed, the smaller tasks that I don't have to worry about anymore, really. And then in the spring, I was able to start hiring subcontract writers. These are all things that help me get to my goals faster and more easily. So instead of being like a toddler and saying I do it all by myself, if you want to get there faster to your goals, to whatever it is, think about hiring and don't be afraid to do it, right? And then number 10, give yourself time to recover. So something that Ido and I read so many books about Kilimanjaro, I can't even tell you. Audiobooks on the commute, we read it before bed, we were reading books constantly. And of course, all of them built to this beautiful moment of reaching the summit, and then that was pretty much it. What almost none of them talked about was that there is a recovery period after putting your body through this process. It is a hard thing to do, to sleep on a mountain for 8 days, deprive your body of sleep and proper rest, and then spend all this time at super high altitudes that we're not meant to survive at. When we're up at that high altitude, there's no animals. There weren't even plants at the summit because it's too high for that kind of life to exist. It's crazy. And then it was almost shocking to us when we came down and realized our bodies just kind of went haywire. We lost, weight doing this hike. We hiked more than 90 kilometers, even though we ate like monsters the whole time. We both lost weight. Our feet were just destroyed. My skin broke out in crazy ways. Ido's skin on his face was peeling. I had a cough from sleeping outside. We were just wrecked because we had gone through this very hard challenge. And thankfully, when we got back, it was still the Sukkot holiday here in Israel. And so we had some time to rest and recover extra than we would have if we'd come back, like during a normal work week. But I think about that sometimes, because when you do a next level in your business, and whatever that means, is just like you offer a new course, you open your group program, you start coaching, whatever it is, when you get to these new levels in your business, launching them and worrying about them and getting them out to the world, even if it's successful, even if you summit, you're still putting yourself through something that was difficult. And it's really important for you to know that it's okay that you're exhausted and kind of wigged out afterwards. You need some time to recover. You've accomplished something major, but you've also put all of this energy and stress into it too. So it's okay to take some time when you come down from that victory, when you launch that program, whatever it is, to recover. Again, everyone talks about, like, they'll sell courses about how to sell your course, or, the amazing launch they had, and all the revenue they got, and blah, blah, and all this amazing, 20K a month they got from it. But not a whole lot of them talk about, like, that it can be draining to do that. There's even a term I've come across, launch exhausted, because it takes energy to get this stuff going. So if you get to these big points and then you're all of a sudden drained afterwards, it's okay. Take time to recover. When you do those big things, congratulations. Now celebrate it and rest and get ready for the next thing. It's okay. You don't have to be 90 miles an hour 24/7. It's okay. So anyways, so again, if you want to see more details about the hike, I have the blog link in the comments. And here's the thing. One of the best gifts I got from hiking Kilimanjaro, I actually got even before we got in the plane to Tanzania, even before we got to the summit. And what this is having Kilimanjaro as a goal, especially in a year of COVID restrictions, was an amazing gift. It was this North Star for us for 9 months. And when you are focused on pursuing a big goal, even a painful goal like this, you are forced to bring your whole life up to the next level. So, for example, back in 2017, I almost broke my ankle, and I had problems with it that I've been ignoring. But then I realized, if I want to hike this damn mountain, I can't ignore it anymore. And so it actually forced me to go to physiotherapy, and now I have, like, these mysterious pains in my right shoulder have gone away. Like, the right side of my body is now, like, great. And I had to do that because of the mountain. So this big goal forced me to up-level my health. Before, I do watercolor, and I was in a slump before we, went to the mountain. I just couldn't find a direction. But then once we were going and I realized I wanted to bring my paints with me in the mountain, it's just like, oh, okay, that means I need to practice landscape. Okay, how do I do that? Where do I find the classes? And all of a sudden I had this direction, and I was painting every single day, and I still do. It gave me direction. I up-leveled as an artist. It even up-leveled my business, this goal of going to the mountain. I knew that I needed to hire more help before this trip and for future trips. And one of those things I was so scared and kept procrastinating on was hiring more subcontract writers. It just terrified me. I'd never done it. Who am I to do this? All of this nonsense. But with the mountain just here, straight in front of me, it's just like, if I'm going to accomplish this, I have to hire more people, more help. And so having this big goal up-leveled my business, even though it wasn't a business goal. So when you have these big, amazing goals, it just brings everything up in your life. And it's not easy. It's not easy. I told you, it's okay that it's hard, but it is better. And it also applies to my business. And your business too, I hope. Starting, growing, developing, evolving a business is hard. It really is. But I am a better person because I have done this and continue to do this. Even when it's hard. Growing my business has made me up-level in so many ways. So all of this long video, longer than I probably should have made it, it's okay. I don't want you, when it feels hard, I don't want you to feel like that means something's wrong with you, or that it's time to quit, or that you're doing something wrong, you're moving too slow. Some things are just hard, and building a business is one of those, and sometimes we don't talk about that enough, because we see a lot of marketing posts about how, you can do this in 90 days, or have this, course in, 7 weeks, and you'll have to, and it's amazing, and some of these tools actually do that. But it's okay that it's hard. It's okay if you're not moving as fast as someone else. And I want you to keep going. I want you to keep trying, because I believe that you're pursuing something big, and that it will make pretty much everything in your life better. As long as it's in balance, of course, with a reason. Anyways, so now I'm back in the saddle, doing more lives. You want to work with me? You got information on the description of the video too. You want to read a blog for more details on the hike? You got that in the description too. But yeah, if you need anything written for your bookkeeping business, I'm your girl. And you just let me know, I can help you, and I will talk to you guys soon, okay? You have a wonderful day. Bye.